Okay, we're at the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our last Platform Analytics Academy session of 2024, if you can believe that. I feel like this year has flown by, probably the same for most everybody here. So what we like to do with this last session of the year is kind of just talk through all of the sessions that we have had for 2024. And then also, I just want to highlight, obviously, with the Washington and the Xanadu release, some of the things that sort of came with that. So as usual, this is for you. So make sure that you are asking questions, and this is being recorded. So obviously, it'll be out there for you a little bit later today, probably tomorrow, based on when I get the recording. So you definitely can feel free to sit back, relax, and just listen in and ask questions if you choose to. Just make sure that you ask the questions if you can in the Q&A so we can keep record of those. And then we'll make sure that we put those into the community as well. And then there are other panelists that are on the call that could possibly answer a question via type. Safe harbor, I don't necessarily know that we have anything in here today, but you never know. So it's always a good idea for us to, make sure that we put that in there. So if we talk about anything or if a question is asked and an answer is given that is something about the forward, the future, things of that nature, just make sure that you remember that. So this next slide is going to look a little bit weird just because Tara is at a crazy looking spot. I don't know how that happened, but we have some people that are here today. Dan and Patty are here so far. Olga and Tara could pop in definitely wherever she's at. But again, we're going to talk about Platform Analytics 2024 if we can. So, like I said, what I want to do is just highlight each of the sessions that we have had this year. And then if those do generate any sort of questions, please feel free to ask those. If there are questions that are unrelated to the content that we are covering today, then you can ask those as well. We'll try to make sure that we get to those toward the end of the session. If we don't get to your question, then please ask that same question inside of the community, and you can tag Dan or myself, and we'll try to get an answer for you. The great thing about the community is you really don't have to rely on ServiceNow people like Dan and myself and Patty. There's customers who really are very intelligent and know a great deal about platform analytics and give really good answers all the time. So if you haven't done that or used to that, you should definitely check out the community no matter what and ask those questions. So let's talk about Platform Analytics 2020 review. So we started the year out this year in January because the latter part of 2023, we had a lot of sessions that were around platform analytics and the direction that we were going with the new look, the new feel, with Next Experience and things of that nature. So we tried to start the year out with a session that just really gave you lots of collateral and enablement material that would help you with everything that was happening inside the year of 2024. And this session specifically really highlighted a lot of the different collateral or whatnot that we had out there for you. So if you're not familiar with them, this would be a really great one. And obviously, all of the other ones that we had that were centered around platform analytics, and we had some very specific ones around different things within platform analytics, again, gives you the ability to find those solutions, and then in return, take the solutions that we had given you and then use those within your organization as a whole. We really tried to make sure that we give you enough that you didn't have to recreate the wheel per se as it relates to training for any of this stuff. So we really tried to give you a lot of collateral with that. So that's the way that we started off 2024, by giving you a session that really was purely around the different collateral and tools and all the different things that we had out there as it relates to platform analytics. And then, like I said, from there, we kind of started getting into some more very specific sessions. So if you're familiar with platform analytics, if you've already migrated over, if you've already started looking, if you're just researching, if you're just curious, obviously something that you're going to use a lot is the inline editor. So the inline editor, we felt it was important to make sure that we had a session that was dedicated to that specifically. Obviously, there is a technical editor as well, but most of what you'll probably need to do, you can do inside of the inline editor. The technical editor would require a little bit more developer type skills and things of that, which obviously some of you do have, and maybe you've already played around with that a little bit. But this session particularly was really about what is the inline editor? What are some of the things in the configuration panel that we can use to do specific things? So it really was a deep dive into that. And again, another great tool that obviously once you've seen it, once you've watched it, once you've learned it, you could then in return share that with anybody within your organization and help them get ramped up on using the inline editor, which is the new place that you'll actually do the creation of visualizations and dashboards and things of that nature. So again, was very important to get you all familiar with the inline editor, and that's what this session here was based around. Now, as we started getting into the rollout of Washington, we obviously have these sessions. They're twice a year because we have two releases that drop every year. So this one was early part of 2024. What was new in Washington? So this was a really good session that really highlights things that came with Washington, not necessarily everything, because some things are obviously a little bit bigger than others. But we have the release notes inside of the docs site that obviously gives you everything. But these sessions, we were able to bring our inbound over, and they could actually show you all some of the things that were coming in Washington. So I don't know how many here are actually on Washington yet, or better yet, even on Xanadu. But if you are not there yet and you're curious and you're in a, you'll soon be going to Washington or whatnot, these, of course, are great sessions that really highlight all of the things that are coming in whatever release as it's related to platform analytics. Just a really good source. So as you all see, obviously I have the link that's embedded here, and the PowerPoint or the PDF will be out on the community event, but I'll make sure that all of these links. But of course, we do have the 2024 page for the community as it relates to platform analytics, so we'll make sure that that's linked on there if you're not familiar with that. The next thing that we talked about was improving dashboard performance with dashboard caching. So Olga actually came on and did this session, and it was really good because it was all about performance and how to make dashboards run a little bit more efficiently and effectively by incorporating caching and things of that. So that was something that was new with Washington. So we wanted to make sure that we actually, it may have came in Vancouver. I can't remember exactly, but it was either Vancouver or Washington. So it was something that kind of one of those things that was out there and it kind of went a little bit unnoticed. So we wanted to make sure that we highlighted that for you and explain the concepts of caching and its benefits and how it can significantly improve speed and efficiency of dashboards and things of that nature. So again, we had some practical demonstrations that were inside of that, and a tip and some tips on implementing and the caching strategies that come with it. So another great session that definitely should check out, especially if you're having maybe some of those difficulties per se with some performance or whatnot and dashboards. This could definitely help you out. So Dan, Patty, please make sure that you interrupt me if you feel a question has come in that we need to answer. Are we good right now?
We have a few questions related to the dashboards. I don't know if we
Yeah, I'm
want
looking
Are they
to.
up a couple
specific
things.
or are they more around just general questions?
Well, there's a couple of actually, I think I want to take this one just because because I'm trying to look it up right now. There's a question from Rajani on PA dashboard statistics are available at the dashboard statistics table, but how to see views for PAR dashboards. And I'm looking up in um, what I would use user experience analytics because that captures all the page views. That's really exactly what that application is for. I'm trying to look up right now what would be like the specific, because there is a platform analytics um, section within user experience analytics where you can actually go in and analyze all the pages, the page flows, and so forth within. So that's what I would recommend is just say within the user experience analytics. And everybody has if you have platform analytics, you have user experience analytics, whether you know it or not. But if it's not on right now, it may not be activated at your instance level, but that would definitely be something to get with your admin to say if it's not active, it can be activated for platform analytics specifically so that you can track all of that. 'Cause this is one that's a little more general, I think. It says when the platform analytics dashboards or data visualization is shared with users, the data table is not showing up for the shared users, up to the shared users. It shows only for the dashboard owner or data visualization owner. For example, users only see the widgets, not the data table under that. So then I guess I'm assuming we're talking about an indicator as the data source rather than a table. Because if it's a table, it's it's entirely based upon the ability to see the specific records is still based upon any ACLs. So in other words, if I have so if I am a user and I go look at and I want to go view a list of incidents because I am just a user, I don't have access to see all open incidents. I don't see it. I don't have access to see all the listing of all the other incidents. I can only see the ones that I have opened on for myself, unless that has been specifically granted as a role that for me to be able to view others. If it's the an indicator, similar rules follow because when that would be when I drill down into the KPI details from any individual chart, or individual dashboard chart, or indicator based chart. Um, and it'll have like you'll have the show records tab. You'll be able to show records. Show records it's still based upon that user's ability to see those records. So what I would do is if that user can open up the associated outside of Platform Analytics, if they could go to the table that Platform Analytics is getting its data from, if they can see the same records directly from that table, if they just viewed the table itself, then I would think that they should be able to see it in Platform Analytics, and that would probably be a support case to say why they can't. If they can see it when they just look at the table itself, but they can't see the same records in KPI details. I don't know, any other thoughts from anyone else on that?
No, I think you're fine there.
Okay. All right. Why don't we go ahead and we'll so
Type
again
some
we'll
answers of
let's
some
just
other
keep
ones
going
here.
and then we'll come back and
Okay,
ping some of
sounds
these.
good. Yep.
Yep.
All right, so the next session that we did was around Platform Analytics Migration Center. So we have given this a lot of emphasis, not only in the late part of 2023, but obviously this year. The idea is to obviously try to get everybody over to Platform Analytics as much as we possibly can. So obviously understanding that situations are different and things of that with every company. So some have migrated over, some have not, but the idea is to make sure that we give you all enough information and collateral that you can make the decision when it's best for you to migrate over. So this specific topic is something that has been talked about quite a bit. I know that Dan and Marta actually did a session at Knowledge that not only talked about platform analytics, but it also talked about Migration Center. I know that it has been something that has been on the top of our minds, and we're trying to, do as much as we can to help with that process with customers. So again, if you are at the point where you are thinking about it, or at the point where you're ready to do it, then definitely would encourage you to not only use all the other sources that are out there, whether it be docs or things in the community, but make sure that you look at these particular sessions because these have demos that are embedded in them, and they're just really good sessions for you to learn more about the migration process. So make sure that you're looking at that, and like I said, hopefully you're encouraged to migrate over to Platform Analytics with all the great features or whatnot that comes with the new experience. And we hope that, a lot more numbers actually do move in 2025. And we see that happening. But again, this was a source to help you do that. Obviously, these sessions are really, really fun, and a lot of information is shared within these. So our Ask the Expert sessions, what we try to do is we try to do one of these a quarter. I think we had three this year, but every one of them were jam-packed with tons of questions, and questions that were around, here you can see best practices and troubleshooting, advanced features, different user queries, and real world examples. So even if you're someone that didn't have a specific question, I think you benefit from coming to one of these sessions just because of the questions that are asked. And we are fortunate enough to have just a large group of panelists that answer questions live and also answer questions via type. And what we try to do with these particular sessions is make sure that we put all of those questions within the community event. And then also out on YouTube, we'll put timestamps of the questions that were answered live, I'll put timestamps on those so you can go directly to that. So what's really cool about this is I was able to kind of just summarize these. So here you can see the amount of questions that were around, specific topics. So obviously we had some that were around migration and upgrades, business rules, data management, database views, custom columns. Obviously the bulk were around platform analytics and reporting. But here you can see that you may already have a question that you have currently that maybe you haven't checked out one of these sessions, but there might be a really good chance that the same question that you have could possibly have been answered in one of these Ask the Experts sessions. And we'll have these in 2025 as well. I'll make sure that I try to get those out there as in advance as I can. And I would say come prepared for these, right? We have definitely had people that have come on and are just lighting up the Q&A with questions. And that's what we want, right? We want you to ask as many questions that you can, and we want to answer as many as we can. So again, for this particular one that was in the first quarter of 2024, here you can kind of see the way that the questions broke down. And like I said, some are type, which have type answers, and some are live. So the next thing that we talked about was proactive analytics, proactive insights, I guess you could say. And this is something that was new, I believe, in Vancouver, but it got some more feature upgrades when Washington came out. And this was a really great feature by, when you're on a platform analytics dashboard and you can actually click on the insights button. Or what it'll do is at a data visualization level, you might see a red dot, which tells you that it sees something. So basically what it's doing is it's looking at the existing KPIs and saying, hey, something is going on with this that you should maybe look at it. Not necessarily saying that it's bad, wrong, or indifferent, but something is a little off here. Maybe you should check that out. So if you're not familiar with what proactive analytics insights can do, this is another great feature that has rolled out with the Next Experience. And this is a great session that had some really good demos in it. Amir, one of our inbound managers, he did that and he is really good. So it was, again, a great session. This is where we actually start talking a little bit around the technical builder. If you remember what I said earlier, most of what you can do can probably be done inside of the the inline editor. But there obviously are situations where maybe you need the technical editor, which is UI Builder. So we invited Brad Tilton over from one of our sister organizations, and he actually came on and did some creating inside of the UI Builder dashboard and things of that nature. So again, if you have thought about it, toyed around with it a little bit about whether or not you need to use it based on maybe something that you feel like you can't do inside of the inline editor, this would be a really great place for you to start to give some insight into doing those things with the technical editor or just UI Builder in general, if that's what you're calling it. But a really great session. Anytime we can cross-pollinate, those are really good sessions, and bringing Brad over was really good. And just another great session. I think we had a really good turnout, like all of them for this one specifically. So again, if you're interested in that, this would be a session that you would definitely want to check out. We started talking about platform analytics filters. This was sort of an introductory where, I talked about all the different types of filters that you can put within platform analytics. And we actually did some demos of those and showed those actually working. This session here has a sister session that was later on in this year that Dan did, where he actually went a little bit deeper with platform analytics filters, and you'll see that here in a little bit. But again, if you have questions around how do filters work, obviously the big thing with platform analytics is that it's now a unified filter. There's no more for the need of doing an interactive filter for a report or a breakdown for a widget. Now the unified filter itself will work for both of those. So that is obviously a huge update in the world of prior performance analytics, but inside of platform analytics. So definitely check this session out if you have questions around filters. Probably a really good chance that it was probably answered within this, or even a question that was asked by one of the customers that attended might be the same question that you already have in mind right now. So another great session. It seems like we just had an ask the experts, but I know that we had because I think this one was a little bit different from a time perspective because Now, the new rule here is the month of May. We don't have any sort of academies because that is Knowledge Month. So I think that's why this one came around a little bit quicker. But again, this is no different than the one that we had before. Probably obviously different questions, but here you can kind of see the way that things broke down. So was a little bit differently. I know I don't think that there was any questions in the last ones around roles in security or AI and future enhancements. But this one definitely had some questions that were around that. So again, if you have questions, if you have things that you are curious about, that are coming to you from using platform analytics or any other thing, honestly, because I know that there were questions even that were unrelated to platform analytics in the previous performance analytics and reporting. These are really great sessions. And like I said, what I've done in the community is I've actually listed out all of those questions. So it would behoove you to definitely check these sessions out, even on the community, just to see if the question that you have already has an answer. Pretty good chance. Obviously, not all of them, but it's worth actually taking a look at, definitely. Where are we at, Dan? Are we good? A lot of questions.
Do have a lot of questions. Yeah, I'm just trying here. I'm trying to look through here again to see
Let me
what
look
are
here
some
as
of the
well.
good general ones here. How do I take here? It might be a good one because it's a good migration question. How do I take the dashboard and reports and indicators that were migrated to the analytics platform to a production instance? The migration is done at the instance level. It's not like a it's not like you create or editing a dashboard that you would then you move to an update set, and then the update set can be promoted from dev to prod or whatever. You actually do need to, though, the idea of running the migration in a sub-production environment is essentially testing it out and then making sure that everything works the way you want. And then you would need to run it again, but you could be much more selective about what you choose to migrate at that point. But you would need to actually run it again in production. All right.
There was a
Migration's
couple
only
other ones
on
around
the
migration.
dashboards, right? Not on the individual reports.
Both. Both.
It is on both.
Yeah. So it does the oh, we did have a raised hand too, and I want to know if that was something. Yeah, that's that
Yeah,
Nemeka.
yeah.
Um, do you have a question to ask the team, or okay, yeah, did you
Yeah, I
promote her?
allowed them to talk. Go ahead if they
Yeah.
want to ask the question. Yep.
Is it Nemeka? I think you raised your hand a while ago. I'm not sure if you. So okay, you are available to ask to talk if you want, if you would like to, but we'll assume that either it was by mistake or that you have since moved on, and since we didn't get to your raised hand immediately. So either way is fine. But if you still do have a question, if you would type it in the Q&A panel, and we'll try our best to follow up on it. Okay, why don't we move on here?
Okay.
Oh, one quick question because it's
Sure.
mentioned tagging in the community. Um, it's just doing. You're just when you say to tag URI, you're just saying in the text of it, just do like an at, right? Just do like an at Thomas Davis or at Daniel Kane, right? That's what you mean,
Yeah, I
right,
believe that's
Thomas? Yeah,
we should come up if you do that. Yeah.
yeah. If you just do like and just like so, yeah, just do
Yep,
like an
that's what it
at
was.
symbol and then the name of that person. So yeah,
Okay, good.
definitely.
I know that there are
What?
a few of them around migration, but we should have enough
uh,
time left, I think, at the end of this to
yeah.
try to get to a lot of these.
So, yep. Let's go ahead. Yeah. Why don't we move on in?
Okay. All right. So next, we talked about formula indicators. Not an exciting subject, I guess you could say, but it is something that was definitely needed. So Adam actually came on and did a session around some what we were calling real use cases as it comes to building out formula indicators. I know that he had some really good use cases and some different ways of thinking about doing different things within formula indicators themselves. So another great session as a reference point for you that if you have some questions around that, this would be a good place for you to sort of start to see if one a same question was asked, or if during one of the use cases, Adam actually showed you a solution that would work in your case as well. So another great session around that. So a next one was exporting visualization. So Daniel Lotz actually came on and did this. So some of that has changed a little bit with Vancouver and Washington. And now that it's inside of Platform Analytics, he actually came on and he showed how you can do some really neat exporting of data visualizations inside of Platform Analytics. So maybe you need to export them to PDF or Excel or as an image file. He actually showed and went through that particular demo to actually show how that is actually possible. So he gave some step-by-step instructions on how to make sure that you export the visualization, customize it, or customize the export settings, and of course ensure the export files meet specific requirements that you may have as an organization. So another great session if you have questions around that. So then obviously Xanadu came around. So just like the what's new in Washington, we wanted to make sure that we had a what's new in Xanadu to highlight the different things that had come with that. So this is another great session where our inbound developers will actually come on and they will talk to and demo the different things that come within the release. Like I said, there are a lot, so we may not necessarily demo or speak to all of them, but what we thought were high level, we definitely demoed those and showed them. But we also referenced the doc site that has all of the different release information on it. So if you're not familiar with Xanadu, because maybe you're just not there yet and you haven't kept up with it, but you're curious what actually came with Platform Analytics for Xanadu, so this would be a really great session for you to check out. The next was our first session where we actually showed some Gen AI. So in Platform Analytics with Xanadu, it gives you the ability to generate analytics. And this was a really great session again that Amir from the inbound side came on and he actually showed where you can use Now Assist. So if you have Now Assist for Creator, you can actually use that to ask Now Assist to generate a visualization for you. So what it'll do is it'll look at table data, it'll look at indicator data of existingly that's out there. And if you look for something that maybe has the same name, or if it can build it from the title inside of a table data, it'll actually generate that data visualization for you. You can see it directly there in Now Assist, and you can tell it to put it directly on a dashboard. So you can do that from Now Assist anywhere within the platform. But if you were at the dashboard level, you could add one directly there. And of course, you could now have editing rights and things of that nature. So it is our first step, and obviously much more to come in the future for using Gen AI inside of Platform Analytics. But this was with the Xanadu release, the ability to actually show that. So really great feature. Obviously, it'll get even better as releases come. Just hearing some of the ideas that we're privy to here on this side as it relates to that is it's going to be an exciting future as it relates to this. So again, if you're not familiar with it, this will be a really great session for you to check that out. So this session was very interesting to all of us because it is obviously reporting has been around for a very long time. And we were noticing that there were some questions inside of the community, or maybe even we had customer calls that we were on where we were talking about some very not necessarily generic, but reporting best practices and things of that nature. And we thought, well, let's do a session. And what really stood out to me, and Dan and I have talked about this, is just the amount of questions that were in that session that were around reporting. So I think that it's easy for us to get excited and about the future and all the things that come in the future. But I think if anything, this session was very clear that people are still using reporting, and it is something that is crucial to the day-to-day needs of any organization. And there were some really good questions around different reporting things that I found to be just very interesting that we had that many questions. And like I said, Dan, I know that you and I talked pretty extensively about this after the fact. It was just very interesting that many reporting questions were still relevant. But like I said, we can get wrapped up in the future that, sometimes it could be easy to forget that, a great deal of our customers are still using reporting pretty extensively. So this was just a great session where people could get those questions out. And of course, we could show some best practices around that. So just a really great session, I thought. Process mining and platform analytics better together. So Process mining has been around for a few releases, and we've had Dan Grady on, and he, of course, did this one as well. A great speaker. It's always exciting to listen to Dan. He really has one of those ways of presenting that kind of just draws you in. I don't necessarily know that I have that, but I know that he has it. And he gave us a really great session talking about how um, proactive insights now works with process mining. So it actually process insights can give you ideas of things that you can do inside of process mining. And again, all of this can be done directly at the dashboard level. So this was a really great session that highlighted that, to give you deeper insights and drive better decision making just around your data. And process mining has obviously always done that, but now that insights work with it, was just really cool to see that in action. And Dan showed that. And like I said, Dan is definitely a great evangelist and narrator. So he just gives really, really, really great sessions. So always excited about when we can get him on and he can do sessions for us. So obviously, this was our third, and I believe our last Ask the Experts of the year. And again, just some really great questions. I think this one had probably the most of the year. I think there were around close to 70 something questions that were in this session. So here again, you can see the different subjects that we talked about. I'm sorry. Very similar to my hands are on the keyboard, very similar to the previous ones. But again, if you have, just as an example, if you're having some technical issues or enhancement questions, it looks like there were, 8 or 9 questions that were around that. So this would be a good place for you to go just to look at those existing questions and see whether or not what you're experiencing is very similar to somebody else's question. And there obviously could be a great answer there for you. I know that within all these as well is if there is documentation in the ServiceNow docs, we link those as well. But like I said, if there is a question that was answered live, you don't have to go through the whole video and find that. I actually give you a timestamp that you can click on and go directly to that. So these are just, I think, really great sessions. And we could probably get away with a whole lot more of these just because of the amount of questions that come through. But 1 1/4 is what we decided now. If that changes, then obviously we will definitely do that. So next, we're almost done, and then we'll be able to get to hopefully get to these questions. We talked about platform analytics, performance analytics before and after. So what we thought would be a really great session would be able to provide you what you knew and saw prior to platform analytics and what it would look like in platform analytics after you've migrated, or if you haven't migrated but you've already decided to start doing some building within platform analytics itself. So what did it look like before and what's it going to look like after? So that was what this whole session was around. And we definitely did some demos where we built a report and then we built that same report as a data visualization. We built a widget and then built that same widget as a data visualization. We built an interactive filter working with the report, and then we built a unified filter that worked with that same visualization. And the same thing for the unified filter working with the widget or the data visualization and platform analytics. So we felt it was important for you to have a reference to know what was before and obviously what was after. So this is a great session that highlights all of those particular things. And then, like I said, we rounded out the year prior to for the United States Thanksgiving. Dan did a platform analytics filter deep dive, which again was another great session that built off the one previous in the year where we did an introduction to those filters. Dan really did a deep dive and showed some really great demonstrations where he talked about some in-depth things that you can do with filters. And I do specifically remember some comments actually that were like, I never thought about that. I didn't think about doing something that way. And him giving the ability to show that, and then even having some questions that were asked, and I think even some live questions that were asked that even took those particular things a little bit deeper. So the fact that Dan was able to do a session that really stimulated some thought and made some people think about how they could use that, that is really the purpose of why we do those things. So that was definitely a successful part on Dan for doing that. So another great session. And if you're having anything around filters that you're trying to do, again, just like the introductory to filters, this would be a great session for you to do, which was a little bit deep dive into those. So what I want to do real quick, and then we'll get to the answers. This is kind of closing it out, is just talk about the Washington release and the Xanadu release. So here, and I know this is just a lot of words, and I don't want to talk about this extensively, and you can definitely go back and reference it, but this is what came with the Washington release. These are all the different things that we probably talked about in some sort of session or there's something in the community that was placed out there or something. But we tried to make sure that we talked about all of these different things as it relates to Washington in some sort of session, at least for the first half going into the third part of the year before Xanadu came out. And then we did the same thing for Xanadu. So here are all the things that came with Xanadu. And again, we tried as hard as we could to highlight those specific things. Maybe not everything, but I know a good portion of that. And if it didn't, then obviously, or if we didn't, then obviously you can go to the doc site, which has really great information there as well. So that was Platform Analytics Academy, Platform Analytics for the 2024 year. I think some really great sessions that we had, some incredible speakers along the way, some great panelists that were here as well, and obviously the customers, right? We couldn't do this without you all, and I know that I believe for one session this year we actually hit 200 live attendees, which is big. So that's a big thing, and we definitely appreciate the fact that you're dedicated to this session every 2 weeks. And, I highlight this a lot, but we are the longest running academy within ServiceNow. We're at 6 years. So we have, I think, well over 100 hours of, YouTube content. When we look at what's being viewed and how long it's being viewed and things that we have some reports and the numbers are just incredible, the amount of view time that we've had on these sessions. So please continue to join us and please continue to let us know via the survey what you'd like for us to do sessions around, and we'll try our hardest to make sure that we can do that for you. So with that, based on how much time that we have left, we got about 23 minutes. So let's see how many of these we can actually answer. So Dan, do you have any tagged for live, or you're just doing typed right now? Let's see.
Okay, let's turn off mute when I start talking. I've just been looking at typed here right now. I haven't been looking for any
Okay.
good one. Couple of things that I think we can probably hit on fairly quickly, like how much time does it typically take for a migration? And I know you're gonna love this answer, Shashir, but it's the old it depends. Generally, if it depends on how many dashboards and how many reports and like we're there to begin with. If you have just thousands upon thousands of dashboards and reports, um, it could take, I don't think it should take more than like a 45 minutes to an hour for that, but it should not be a really long process. Most customers see it finished within about 15 minutes. So that's what I would say generally. I know there can be variances to that, but I don't know if you guys have any other insights into that. That's
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be hard, obviously, to make sure that even saying that all of them are the same. They're obviously much different, but obviously everybody's is going to be different just based on what you have within your instance, how many dashboards, how many widgets, things of that nature. So I think you're exactly right, Dan. All right, let me see if I can
okay.
get all
See
everybody's
another
questions
one
in now.
on reports. So can reports that aren't on dashboards be migrated? Yes, by default, all reports are migrated and they show up in the platform analytics under the data visualization section. So just to be aware of that. So all reports by default are migrated and they will, so it's all under data visualizations along with any other like indicator widgets and things of that sort.
I'm
There's
trying to get
another
some
good
typed answers
question
here, Dan. So
on-demand training courses. Have they been updated to cover Washington Xanadu Platform Analytics release functionality?
I'm
I'm
sorry,
sorry, I was trying to
can you
finance. What's
repeat
that
that?
question again?
Has the on-demand training courses for
Okay.
Platform Analytics, has it been updated to cover Washington and Xanadu release functionality? So
They are
like,
in, yeah, good. They are in process. I know there should be some content that is Washington focused already. But if you're talking about like the main courses, like the platform analytics fundamentals and advanced, those courses, the instructor-led courses are being updated and actually are supposed to be out. They were going to be before the end of the year, but I think now it's going to be early next year is the target for having those available. But there is some content that's available now, but just in regards to kind of like the paid, more formal classes, we're taking a little bit more time to make sure we get them just right.
All
Uh,
right. And Patty, if you can make sure that we flag that as done, if you
Yeah, I did already.
okay, thanks. So there was one that came in and said, for Xanadu PDI instance, I noticed that the new dashboard creation takes you through the platform analytics page rather than the regular dashboard page. Is this normal, expected? So the answer is yes. So if you have if there is a new instance from Xanadu forward, it will automatically be platform analytics. That's what you'll actually see in the filter navigation. If you search for platform analytics, that's where you'll get all those different features. So what you're actually seeing in that PDI is what it should be. So this is net new, right? Net new, it automatically happens that way. Once you migrate over to platform analytics, if you're in another release or whatnot, and you set as active, then that's what you'll see. But if it's a net new, it's doing exactly as it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Then there's a question I want to clarify. The calendar report widget, is that available on the platform analytics, like the new UI?
What's that question again? Let me see if I can find
The
it.
calendar, our calendar widget, is that available to configure within the platform analytics? Like the new
Good
UI?
question. Uh,
Like the documentation I found was like on the old UI, and I know you can configure it, but I'm not sure if that's available in the new UI yet.
yeah, I'll have to actually get an answer to that. Who actually asked that question there?
It was anonymous.
Oh, anonymous. Okay. Um, Maybe anonymous. If you can ask that same question in the community and tag me, I'll make sure that I get a answer for you on that.
I see one that was on will the migrate reports and dashboards that are set as active equals false. That will depend upon if you use the most up to date, the most current version of the Migration Center, it should now have an option. It should now allow you to say that I don't want to migrate things that are not active. But that's not something that was done initially with the initial releases of the Migration Center. So whenever you're working with Migration Center, make sure and have your admins look at and make sure that you are running the most current version of the admin center of the Migration Center. No, sorry, not admin center, Migration Center. Okay, question is user experience data real time? Does the number of views and sessions change on the fly? There is a small lag, but it is not like like instantaneous, but I think within it's within seconds, not hours. It should be updated in a very short, in very short order. But it's close to real time, I guess is the best way to say that. Okay, I got a couple that I think I'm gonna need to follow up on. Custom interactive filters. Are custom interactive filters available in platform analytics? Not in the inline editor. And again, if Thomas or Patty, if you have a different understanding of that, let me know. But the custom interactive filter, it really doesn't work the same anymore because those filters now apply to both, to any data source, whether it be an indicator or a table. So it's that where's that question here again? Where did I see it? Or did someone already grab that?
Oh, sorry, I marked it. We were
Already
answering it
marked it
live.
as done. So yeah, no, but it's so you
I got it
can,
too.
if you need to do a lot more complex filtering, that can be done through the advanced dashboards. You can do the filter component on an advanced dashboard. So in other words, that means it's more like UIB type of functionality. But you can do a lot more. So you can do a lot more than what custom interactive filters could do. But it's a lot more control of it in there. But it does require an admin configuring it as a UIB page. But generally, custom interactive filters require an admin or a developer to do that for you as well.
Trying to type answers as much as I can, Dan.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
There was one on roles, like if they want to hide certain tables from being options from users to when they create reports, what is the best way to go about that? Is that more like, I was thinking more ACL type use case, but
I'm sorry, which one is that? Can you repeat that again?
Claire Ashdown has a question.
Okay.
They're wanting to restrict so that not everybody has access to reporting off of metric base.
Yeah, I am following up on that one because that should have. I'm looking. I'm actually because that's a really good question. I have never actually seen metric base come up as an option for me, so I know there's specific. I
Yeah, I
have
thought
to
there was
look
a
up to
role
see.
for that, right?
There is, but I have to see specifically where you set that. I know it is a role, but I do need to set that specifically. I do need to see where you specifically set that. So I'm thinking some of Claire's follow-up. Oh yeah, user groups, roles, sharing drop down for both visualizations and dashboard, as well as the requested by owner fields. Oh, okay, on the details pane for the visualizations. Um, Show and filters built on this user. Yeah, but I don't know how to limit the users showing in the user drop downs of the actual performance analytics framework. I think that one I'm going to have to take offline as well. We might do a follow-up with you, Claire, just to see. But you're right. This is the place to ask, but usually we can have them here. But unfortunately, one of the things we lost today is a couple of our developer resources were not able to make it here today. The timing was very unfortunate, but that normally are here. So I'm gonna have to to mark a couple of these for specific follow-up to see. So it's and make sure I understand the question here again. Yeah, Claire, we'll chat. Um, Dashboards, we have a mixture of reports created with classic UI and the new UI. Is there anything to worry about or on how these classic UI created reports visualize? Um, the classic UI reports or the reports created with classic UI should when you see them on a platform analytics dashboard, it should be in its um, if it's not something that migrated directly, it should come over in its compatibility version. Most of them will come over, will just convert to the next UI or the new UI. But I'm wondering if you're saying because you shouldn't add a classic report to a new UI. I don't think you have that ability. But you're saying is you maybe do. I don't know. That's anything to worry about in how these classic UI created reports visualize. No, there really shouldn't be because they would be in compatibility mode, and compatibility mode is is the way that kind of addresses any potential problems. I cannot view an actual object created directly in the legacy system. I cannot view that specific object in a in the new dashboards. It has to be converted into either converted as a new UI object or converted in compatibility mode. So then, yeah, that should not be an issue. Let's see. Core UI dashboards has gadgets and system gauges. Are there any plans? Yeah, so there are any plans to allow some additional items like some of the, into the inline editor, like gadgets, field service dispatch maps, world clocks, system gauges. Today, they are available in the advanced editor or in the UIB, the UI builder version of a dashboard. That is, but we are absolutely looking at additional items to add in to the more visualizations to add into the inline editor. If you something that you don't see, I would absolutely put in as an idea in the idea portal on the support site. Anything that you don't see or that you don't see documented by us anywhere that it's on the roadmap. I'm not familiar with those. I think world clocks I have seen on a roadmap, but I honestly I couldn't tell you specifically where. at this point yet. But so, and we are working on getting a function out, getting something out there that we can publish that will have, the roadmap of visualization. So it's just not there yet. But if you don't see it right now, I would say an idea portal idea is a good idea, and you can flag so that would be the best way to handle that. Um,
Yeah, and I think a lot of these questions are obviously not going to get answered. And the great thing about putting them into the Q&A is that I'll have these and I'll actually be able to get with a lot of the developers or the inbound side to actually help answer these. So don't fret if your question has not been answered today. I'll make sure that I get answers for you definitely.
Do we have some documentation on migrating specific reports instead of just dashboards? It seems like some of our users have some issues following like finding like the steps to do that.
Well, I know that the sessions that we have done have definitely talked about it, but I can definitely find something here as well.
yeah, Kavya, you should be able. Kavya, you are off mute now. You are allowed to talk now. So I was
Yeah.
answering was answering that other question, but apparently I was on mute still because of my dog barking. So, but so individual reports, I don't believe you can do in the try it mode, but but we'll have to look at have to follow up with all the Kavya. Kavya, you go first here.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, that was one of the questions that I had. So far, I don't think we are able to promote the migrate the individual reports into the platform analytics workspace. My question was around that.
Yeah, right now I believe it'll only do individual reports as part of the full migration. It's not in the list of options like dashboards are if you do the try it or partial migration. If you do the full migration, it absolutely will migrate them all. But I think that's a great idea though to say because right now because we've been doing lots of updates to the migration center. That might be a really good one to have there because I know that's not an option under the try it or partial migration. So we'll make a note of that. I think that's a great idea.
Okay. I don't think I knew that we could even migrate the complete set of reports that we have. I'm gonna explore that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
The other question that I had is um, when we tried migrating for a testing purpose, we tried migrating some of the CMDB out of the box dashboards, right?
Hmm.
And those have some of the non-PA widgets.
Right.
Some of them are called, they're named as CMDB widgets. Some of them are
Mhm.
the content widgets. I forgot the name, maybe. Yeah. So
Yeah.
obviously they're not fully they're not we're not they're not fully operational. I mean they cannot be
Hmm.
converted to platform analytics because of I don't think that component even
Yeah.
exists in the platform analytics. So for existing users, I think the plan to completely migrate to platform analytics, or you also have plans of deprecating the classic reports and dashboards by the Z, right? And with that being said,
Mhm.
what are the plans to have those working in the platform analytics mode?
That is something that is actually driven by the development team that owns that product. So that would be something to actually ask of our configuration management team because they're the ones that build those dashboards. In general, they were all supposed to have an answer by Xanadu of whether they were all supposed to be updated. If they were going to update, the target was to have them if those to have new updated versions of them by Xanadu. But it is possible on a case by case basis that some of the individual groups may not have addressed all of them. So if you don't see it yet, it means they probably if you're looking at Xanadu and you don't see a new version of an a platform analytics version of the CMDB dashboard content, that means they probably were not intending on updating it. So it means they were probably replacing it with something else.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
but let's get into this case, right? So even by Z, let's say hypothetically
Mhm.
it's not addressed, and all those reports are still gonna get deprecated and operate in that incompatible mode in the platform
Yeah.
analytics.
They
That's
should come
what
over.
could.
Don't they come
Mhm,
over in compatibility mode though, where you can still run it? It's just the old interface on those
mhm,
widgets. Yeah, that's so the idea is that it's still functional, but it's in compatibility mode. To So that would be for the when the auto migration runs. Um, I know I don't know, Tom, we probably should at least make we don't have official word on when yet, but I think we should mention. Should we mention here, Thomas, about the auto migration timing?
Yeah, sure.
I think we should. It is, and I will say that we have made an official decision to delay the auto migration. It will no longer
mhm.
be on Zurich. And a lot of that
Okay.
has to do with a lot of different factors. But most importantly, that we're finding a lot of customers were not ready to move to the next experience for their entire instance, and they were finding it to be a real challenge to have be in next experience just for dashboards and not for the rest of the platform. So that's been the one issue that so we're allowing it to be an option longer. And I know it so for sure is not Zurich, and it will be and potentially might not even be the A release, but we'll try to get updates for that as soon as we can. But I don't think we're going to have a definitive update until probably mid 25. So basically when we're getting close to the Zurich release. But all we can say right now is Zurich for sure is not the release that we're auto migrating.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
that helps. That makes me
Wish I had
feel
a
a
better
little
answer
better.
for I wish I
Mhm.
had a better answer for the CMDB content, but that's you know that that's that's something I definitely would bring up through your account team and see if they have if they have resources from the IT ops development team. They should be able to get some answers to those specific dashboards for you.
The
I
ops.
know we're at the
Okay,
top here, so
thank you.
yeah, yeah,
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much.
sure, yeah.
All right, and we are over the top of the hour by a minute. I want to make sure that we respect everybody's time. So, like I said, there are obviously a lot of questions that have not been answered yet, but I do actually get those in the report that I get. So I will work to make sure that we get answers or some sort of something that we can give you on the community event itself. So please check back to that. So
Right. Yeah, and those get on the event page for this academy, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's my intent is to get them there. They may not actually be there yet when I actually post the recording out there probably tomorrow morning, but I'll work with the different sources that we have to try to get the answers to these, and I'll make sure that they're posted on the same event. Yep, definitely.
Really good
So
questions, guys. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I honestly didn't expect this. I didn't expect this many questions, so I should have worked a little bit better to make sure that I had more panelists on to answer these. So I apologize for that. So, okay. So with that, obviously make sure that you're checking out the content that we're already at. You've seen this before. If you've been here, we actually have some really great tools that are out there that you can use. Let's see obviously we've had questions. So make sure you're checking out the community. We will not have another session this year because the next session actually would fall on the holiday date of December 25th. So we'll see you in 2025. We're actually working now to get the different session titles that we're going to have. So look for that in the future. Make sure that you're looking at Now Learning. That is updated all the time. And with that, thank you. Have a great rest of the year. Thank you all again for coming and being dedicated to this academy the way that you have. Dan, Patty, we really appreciate you coming as well today. So we'll see everybody next year. Thank you.